I'm Iris Grimm, founder of BalancedPhysician.com and creator of the Balanced Physician Retention Program, where we work with healthcare organizations like yours who are committed to their physicians' long-term performance and job satisfaction. Thank you for signing up for this video series. I am excited to share with you my perspective on what healthcare organizations can do to retain their top-notch physicians. Having worked with physicians for the last 8 years and having listened to their confidential challenges, problems, and goals, I obviously have a unique perspective on what organizations can do to provide a more satisfying workplace for their physicians and hence for their supporting staff. I hope it's okay with you that I don't go into a whole bunch of chit-chatting, because that's really not my style. Just like a typical German, I'm a matter-of-fact kind of person who likes to go straight to the point, and I want to respect your time. And so I want to start out this video series by looking at first at the financial implications of physician turnover. Now, some of you might say, okay, Iris, we know that turnover is costly. But once you look at the broader picture and you also look at the hidden and additional expenses, you may be surprised just by how many millions of dollars hospitals really lose each and every year that is caused by turnover. And with this mathematical calculation that I'm about to make, you will see that, number one, it can easily threaten the financial health of any organizations, and two, some of the turnover can be avoided and money can be saved. So let's start out with some statistic. A recent physician retention survey from Sacre Search and the American Medical Group Association reported an average physician turnover of 6.8% in 2012. Now, 6.8% doesn't sound that high, right? But actually it is an all-time high. And so I prepared a little case study today to take a closer look. And let's assume if you are a multi-specialty organization that has a national average physician turnover and you currently employ 103 doctors, that would mean that each year 6.8%, that are 7 physicians, leave the organization. Again, 7 physicians, that may not sound like a whole lot, but let's look at the financial impact. And let's say you lost 3 primary care doctors, 2 surgeons, 1 cardiologist, and 1 gastroenterologist. According to Jackson & Coker, one of the most recognized physician staffing firms in the country, the national average gross revenue for, let's start out with the gastroenterologist, is $2.057 million. And the full-time provider contribution for a gastroenterologist is 296%. Next, general surgeons. The national average gross revenue is $1.466 million, and the full-time provider contribution is 248%. Primary care physicians, the national average gross revenue is $743,500, and the full-time provider contribution is 202%. And for cardiologists, the national average gross revenue is $1.62 million, and the full-time provider contribution is 216%. So, first, let's look at the lost revenue just for 1 month when these 7 positions aren't filled, not even with a locum tenens. And here's where I do the math. It's $171,416 for 1 gastroenterologist, $185,874 for 3 primary care physicians, $244,333 for 2 surgeons, and $135,066 for 1 cardiologist. And again, these are just the average numbers. But you will get my point. Because here's the thing, when we add these numbers together, the hospital loses $736,689 in revenue per month, or $8,840,260 per year, as long as these positions stay unfilled. Even though revenue from that line doesn't come in anymore, some expenses continue even though the doctor is gone. So there will be staff that is now without a physician, and you either have to let them go or you have to transfer them to a different practice, right? Then there is the empty real estate. The office is empty, but utilities and lease many times continues. There are machines and other equipment that was either leased or bought that is now standing around unused or not used to capacity. Additional expenses that you spent up front on the physician who didn't stay long enough and haven't even amortized yet are sign-on bonuses and relocation costs. And then there are also the recruiting costs that are estimated between $50,000 and $75,000. Then we also have to add onboarding, credentialing, training, and marketing costs for new physicians, and they are estimated to run between $200,000 and $300,000. And so the total cost per new recruit can come roughly to about $250,000 to $350,000. What many times is not involved in these costs are obviously the administrative time taken up during the whole separation process, not to mention the stress and the worries on how quickly you can actually fill the position. But this is not where the expenses stop. Those only related to, because these are only related to the leaving physicians. Now you have to start a whole new expense cycle when it comes to physician recruitment, where you have to market the new position, wine and dine, offer sign-on bonus, relocation costs, etc. You know the process. It starts all over again. And as I mentioned before, it is estimated that this number runs between $250,000 and $350,000. And so you multiply this by 7, because in our example 7 doctors left, and you will arrive at about $2.1 million. Just $2.1 million in new recruitment costs. I once worked with a surgeon who was at this one hospital for less than 2 years. He was very dissatisfied with a couple of issues, and the hospital CEO reached out to me and asked me whether I could work with him with the goal to retain him. Now, when I first talked with the doctor, he told me that he pretty much made up his mind. His house was on the market, and he accepted recruiter calls. But then, thankfully, he was also open to work with me, and so we went through item by item what he was dissatisfied with, and he created for himself what he needed to feel truly satisfied and successful in this organization. And he quickly realized that many of the dissatisfactions were caused by him and his inability to communicate his needs effectively. And then there were other items on the list that needed to be discussed with the leader of the group and the HR director. And then, of course, there were other things where he learned to control his impulses and where he had to gain stronger emotional competence. Needless to say, within the first month working with me, his level of satisfaction went up. And now, 5 years later, he's still working in the same hospital, and he's working in a leadership position. Now, some of you who make your living with physician recruitment might say, I'm okay with this turnover. After all, it keeps me busy, and that is what I'm in business for. But you see, if the physicians don't stay long enough or leave prematurely, what could upper management say about you and your recruitment skills? Ultimately, the leave most likely has nothing to do with you and your skills, but people will still make up assumptions and stories and reasons regardless. And again, they always have to find some kind of reasons, and many times it goes back to the source, which would be, in that case, the person who actually brought the physician on board. And so in summary, I think we all can agree that physician turnover is a circumstance that can quickly put a big hole in our healthcare organization's budget and costs millions of dollars each year, especially when the resignations are on short notice or before contract expiration. Now let's take a realistic look at your organization. How many physicians have turned in their keys and badges so far this year? That number can include those who went into retirement and those who relocated their entire family to a new town and those who just switched locations in town. What specialty has the highest turnover? And what are the main reasons that these physicians left your organization? What did you learn in the exit interview? And how will you plug these holes for good? And now, this question may really be painful, but based on the earlier mentioned calculation, how much money has your organization lost so far this year, just on physician turnover? Not only lost revenue, but also increased expenses. Now, in the next video, I will share with you 2 additional consequences of physician turnover that may not be able to be calculated in dollars and cents, but they can definitely harm patient care and the reputation of your organization in ways you truly cannot afford. So keep an eye out on your inbox. The video will arrive in a couple of days. Bye for now.